Studio 33 AD, Catholic Media.
But if Christ is preached as raised from the dead, how can some among you say there is no resurrection of the dead? If there is no resurrection of the dead, then neither has Christ been raised. And if Christ has not been raised, then empty too is our preaching. Empty too is your faith. This is St. Paul, the first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 15. If Christ has not risen, then we will not rise either. So, if we are here right now in the church, in a moment we will get up and profess our faith. If we remembered our dead, beloved ones, a few days ago, celebrating All Souls' Day, asking God for eternal life for them, for heaven, it is because we believe in the resurrection of Christ. All of this, it is because we believe in our resurrection. It is because we believe in eternal life. Without this, our faith is meaningless. Without faith in resurrection, faith is a waste of time. But to believe in the resurrection is one thing, and to live the resurrection is quite another. And this is what today's gospel is all about. We are to become a people of resurrection. Our resurrection starts today. Not in 100 years, 1,000 years, maybe. Our resurrection is happening today, here, right now. Because the resurrection means passing from death to life. If sin is the path to death, then conversion is the path to resurrection. We believe that at the end of times, all people will be raised. But only the chosen ones, as Jesus says in today's gospel, but those who are deemed worthy to attain to the coming age and to the resurrection of the dead will be resurrected. That is, only the saved will live forever. The condemned will not experience life, only eternal torment and suffering. This is the difference between heaven and hell. What path we choose, we can choose today. And today, when Jesus reminds us of the truth of the resurrection, he expects us to enter the path of resurrection. That is not just knowledge, but action. We are already immersed in the resurrection of Christ through the moment of our baptism. The only question that remains is, how do I live so that my life will be a resurrection. A week ago, I met and spoke with a young man, about 25 years old. He was a drug addict. He shared his testimony with me. He was forcibly taken to a restricted center for treatment. His therapy lasted a long time. Some time ago, he left the center and began his readaptation. And when I asked him if he was satisfied with the time of therapy, he answered me very briefly, "You know, Father, they saved my life. Because this life before therapy was not a life for me. It was vegetation. It was slowly dying. That time of therapy was like a resurrection for me. I believe that I can." Maybe you don't find yourself in this example because we are not a drug addict. Maybe your life is not so drastically ruined. But when I was in the seminary, at one conference I met Sister Elvira Petrozzi, founder of the Senecolo community, a community for drug addicts who are struggling with addiction. And she spoke to us, and I remember that I was very shocked by her words. She said to us, "We are all drug addicts." I didn't consider myself as a drug addict. But she was right. We are all slaves of something. Slaves to sin, slaves to money, slaves to power, slaves to pornography, slaves to things, prejudices, resentment, fear for our future, tragedies in our childhood. Each of us carries something in our hearts, something that destroys us like a drug. It takes the life out of us. To resurrection means to give it back to Christ. It means to do something to finally change your life, to turn it around 180 degrees. It means to start living again, like this young man. To start living with God, because He alone is the resurrection and the life. Once, while visiting cemeteries in Poland, on one of the graves, I read this sentence: "When I die, please don't come to my grave and tell me for hours how much you loved me, how proud you were of me, and how much you missed me. I don't care. These are the words I wanted to hear when I was alive." If you knew you have an hour of life left, what would you do? How would you use it? Would you call someone you were angry with? Would you forgive someone who hurt you years ago? Would you ask for forgiveness? Would you spend more time with your loved ones? Would you finally tell them that you love them? If yes, then do it now. You may not know that just this hour is your last, so live as if every hour should be your last. Every hour should be your last. This resurrection happens right now.
Studio 33 AD, Catholic Media.